I'm Giovanni Gallucci for Xtrain.com, and we're talking social media. Specifically in this class, we're going over video and images on the web. And in this chapter, which is chapter 4, we want to talk about video sharing. You know, when we talk about strategy and technique, some companies will go out and just be, painfully blatant about what they're doing, which is fine. I mean, if you've got an ad or if you have a video piece that's compelling or that is interesting to a demographic. I mean, if you've got a new laptop that is capable of running very high-end games on it, then it's not inappropriate to go and just to create a commercial for the web and have it be a commercial, have it be nothing but a branding piece and have calls to action in it, and put that on gaming websites and gaming social networks, because that is something that is appropriate and directly relevant to the folks on that site. So there are situations where I would highly recommend that a company run out with its banner, waving the product, talking about the product, and doing a hard sell and having a hard call to action within that advertisement, depending upon the product and service and the audience we're talking about. Obviously, other ones take a more covert approach, and they use the tools that are available online to disguise the advertisement as entertainment. And again, if it's entertaining people and people are enjoying it and you're extending your brand at the same time, that's fantastic. Other platforms that we've talked about in other classes, especially with advert games, have found huge success in getting people's eyeballs focused on their brand for, in some situations we talked about the advert games. If you create a game that's good enough, that draws people's attention, you can have folks staring at your brand for 20, 30 minutes at a time. And what's that worth? I mean, it's the cost of hiring a flash designer and a game designer. You're talking about a couple of folks that, make maybe $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, have them build a game for you and deploy it online. The cost is negligible when you look at the potential benefit from a marketing perspective. I'm going to, again, highly recommend and highly encourage people to dig in and experiment with different methods of delivery, different platforms, different approaches to take when it comes to online media, and get out there and look for different ways to increase your brand recognition and increase your market share. When we talk about increasing market share, one thing that came to mind recently was, we always hear about, newspapers, the tactile paper newspapers are having a tough time in this age because, less and less people are getting their news from the newspaper. They're going online. Magazines are having a difficult time. And I kind of extrapolated that out to recently we went to the Harry Potter release of the 7th book. And, I heard a lot of stuff on the radio about how book publishers are having a tough time also. They're almost competing with themselves because there's a lot of audio books that are being sold through like audible.com and iTunes. And, there's a lot of e-books that are out that are being sold now as well. And so I did a little bit of research and I found out that, the major book publishers get this. They understand that they potentially have an issue, and they have to go out and get young readers to see their product and to start purchasing the books again, because it's very expensive logistically. I mean, books are very heavy, so transporting books from wherever they're published at and created over to bookstores, millions, thousands of bookstores around the world, is extremely expensive. So they've got to sell this stuff, and they've got to make sure they maintain their audience. So their goal obviously is to capture a new audience, a young audience, and they understand they have to go to places where these people already are in order to capture their attention and to get them out and to either get them up onto Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com or get them into the bookstores purchasing this stuff. And so what they do is they go and they create commercials, and these are commercials. I mean, they're not trying to cloak this stuff as being anything other than that. But they create what essentially looks like a theatrical trailer for a movie, and they put this stuff out on gaming websites, on social networks that kids are spending a lot of time on, like Neopets and like Webkins and things like that. And I was really happy and I was really surprised when I discovered that, because to me, Random House, Workman, Scholastic, I mean, these guys are the definition of a part of the definition of what big media is, and they're part of the definition of the last century's version of big media. And it really did my heart a lot of good to see that these folks got it. They're utilizing this, and they're embracing it with arms wide open, and I hope that they're very successful with it. I think that anybody in a marketer situation would have been wise, and whoever recommended this to them was a very wise person to say, get yourself out there and don't be afraid of this. Get out there in front of your potential user group and get your product in front of them and do it in a way that's entertaining. So last slide here, the big question, the $64,000 question is, how does a brand create a video? How does a marketer create a video that can succeed online and succeed on the sharing sites without simply just creating ads? Now, you can go out there if you've got, like we talked about before, if you've got the right product or service and the right demographic, there's nothing wrong with creating an ad for the web. Now, one thing I would recommend against is taking an ad that was created originally for broadcast television and simply dumping it on a website. We've seen a few different companies that have tried that approach and they failed at it because, believe it or not, it's very important when you're talking about creating an advertisement in particular. You have to take the platform into consideration. And just like you can't necessarily take a television commercial and just take the audio and put it onto the broadcast radio or terrestrial radio, because within a television commercial, the visual does a lot for explaining what's going on in a scene. On the radio, you have to describe some of the stuff that's going on within a particular scene if you're trying to tell a story, because you've lost the visual aspect of the commercial. So the writing has to be much different for both of those platforms. And vice versa, it wouldn't make any sense for you to take something that is that descriptive audibly, that is written for the radio, and put it on the TV, because people see what's going on. You don't need to waste your time. You need to take that time with the audio content you have and use it to sell and to tell your story. Likewise, when you're talking about the internet, it's a different platform, it's a different group. So you need to make sure that you're creating content specifically for the web when you're creating commercials.